cross my fingers and hope I fixed all the problems. We're live, so I'm going to read out this again for the second time this evening. You are listening to Let's Go Jojo, the weekly JoJo's Bizarre Adventure podcast about weekly anime from Dynamite in the Brain, and also the secret of the Sailor Madness. So come along and hang with the Let's Go gang. It's Dwayne.
Hello.
It's Niall.
How are you?
And it's me, Brian, with one eye on the podcast and the other eye on his task manager to make sure the connection stays stable.
Some guys are coming. Oh, shit.
On this episode, we are covering anime that aired the week of March the 20th to March the 26th, with a few exceptions, starting with the final episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean, Part 6. We are talking episode 38, What a Wonderful World.
God, again, so soon. Even though it was like a massively elongated read for us compared to most other people in the world. But that's just it, man. Get to the last drop. Get it.
In Japan, there's still another 2 weeks, I think, before it ends. So we're still ahead of the game.
Well, it's like two fortnight later, all the heartbreak, all the outpourings of emotion. We'll be there ready for it. It's like, yeah, we know that feeling, people. It's been a real trip.
So
the end of the universe.
Very much, as I mentioned last week, is like the Futurama episode. They've looped all the way back around to the starting point again.
Timing-wise, the Futurama episode is like this, so...
Yes. I think...
We're coming back around to the busted bootleg knockoff universe, because you got Jolene and Jotaro there, but they're all messed up. They're like kind of weird, just melted versions of themselves. It's all... It's like the straw hats, that fake straw hats, and then that one on posters at all. They were nothing. They're a bunch of phonies.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, this is like, wait a minute, are they wildly off model? It's like, no, they're different people. They're playing Jotaro and Jolene are fucking stand-ins, basically, that kind of thing.
Pooch just walks in and punches them, and they start shouting at Emporio. What are you doing here, Emporio? You were supposed to be dead as well. How you managed to sneak into this universe?
You're a dolphin here. How about you?
So to make sure he's going to do it right this time, he's going to kill Emporio, because you only get your soul gets brought forward if you didn't die into the new universe. But if you did die, then it doesn't come with you, so you can't remember anything that happened before. And Emporio didn't defeat Poochie, but he did survive Poochie, and he can't have any of his enemies, because eventually you'll just fucking figure out a way to beat me, because we have infinity time as I keep resetting the universe.
And he'll properly explain his point of view far too late into the series. Later on this episode, as he's having his face pummeled into the floor as he tries to argue Emporio around to his point of view.
Like, instead of chasing a child around a prison, you probably should have tried to reason and logic with him beforehand, but you didn't, because you were a fucking prick. Yeah.
So yes, his argument is, I know you're going to run back to your room now. So Emporio's like, I can't run back to my room. So they start.
I'll choose to go left, because going right would take me to my secret room. And when he goes left, he steps on a rake. The rake hits him in the face. It's like, it's your destiny to go to that room. You can't deny destiny. And I'm denying destiny by killing you before you get away from me at Cape Canaveral. But I get one for free.
Got to deny fate, and then he has a very quick flashback, and I did like that because it runs so quickly. It kind of gives you the clues before he explains it, but doesn't spell it out until he actually spells it out for Poochie. And then he drags Poochie into the room with him as Poochie goes to attack him. And then, but when they're in the room, Poochie realizes, oh dear, because the punch that he threw at Emporio has not connected with Emporio, has connected with his brother's stand desk, and his powers have inadvertently inserted weather report into Emporio.
So now Emporio has weather report, and he's like, fucking, all right, speed up time again. Fucking, now I'm going real fast, so it doesn't matter. You don't know how to use weather report as good as my brother. We're all fucking good. And he's like, yeah, but what if he says it's the ability to control the weather. What weather report seems to be, besides the slug thing, is the ability to manipulate the atmosphere.
Yes.
And what if I increase the oxygen content of this room? And it's like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, It's very bad.
You're feeling pretty sick now, aren't you? You know, like the oh man, you're crying. Oh, boo-hoo, tears of blood. Yeah, you don't want that either, do you?
I like the way that they're both like crying blood, but it's both coming out of the tear ducts, but also out of like the center of their iris. It's so nasty. It's just like, oh, that's not good.
Finding a screenshot for YouTube was a little difficult this episode. Trying to avoid ones with blood in people's faces.
I mean, like Jojo's is generally quite violent, but it's kind of like the ick factor on that. Yeah.
And so not only is he doing this, he's also got the stand pummeling Poochie in the face and into the ground.
And he's like, I'm not even controlling the stand at this stage. It just doesn't like you that much.
And it's just doing it so slowly as well. Like you get to order later, but it's just kind of like grinding its fist like into the side of his head and crushing his head into the floor. And he's trying to say, wait, one more thing. I've got one more thing to say. One more thing to say.
This is after Weather Report has bodied him through the piano in the room. It's just like, oh, it's the satisfying. He's like, yeah, fuck you in particular. It's very nice.
The implication seems to be that as he was dying, Weather Report planned this attack, and it's in the stand disc. So as soon as it was put into somebody, it was going to kill his brother.
It activated basically. It played automatically as the CD-ROM worked. And it's such a nice contrast between Poochie going like, "You can't escape destiny. It is your fate." And the prior thing of the Joestar family line is destined to help me out and that kind of thing is like, yeah, what about your family line, Poochie? What's that destined to? Oh, that's right. Weather Report's destined to kick your ass right now. it's very satisfying. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pointing out that it's not us who are trying to escape our fate. It's you, Poochie. You're the one who was trying to escape his fate by rebooting time and letting people see their own fates.
And these are all like choices that you made. You don't feel locked into them. You know, like it's like even if your fate is to experience something like completely terrible, which you could possibly take steps to avoid, but that's your fate. You should be better prepared, like spiritually and physically, to just endure it. Because I've endured some pain. So I had to get mine. So everybody had to get theirs as well. I'm a priest. I know what's right. I know what's right and wrong. I'm very good at it.
Yeah, and then he's still saying, "Oh, this take everybody to heaven like Dio dreamed of," and I'm like, I don't think Dio really dreamed. I think Dio was fucking with you, mate. All this time.
I think Dio thought it was fun to fuck with a young priest kind of thing. Probably literally. But also it's just like Dio wants Dio to be the top of fucking everything. Like Dio wants to be heaven basically, and then possibly no one else is allowed. But Poochie does have that religious idea of taking away freedom. If you can see your entire future planned out ahead of you, then you'll be satisfied because you won't experience anxiety or fear. And it's just like taking away someone's individualistic freedom is good for you, actually, says the guy who is like has convinced himself that religion is the way that everyone else needs to follow. And it's not even the rules he's abiding by for himself, because he's absolutely cheating the fucking system. Just such a hypocrite. Like,
but the point he makes, he's willing to die for it as well, because he's arguing. No, I'll let you pummel me to death if you just let me fast forward time to Cape Canaveral.
Yeah, as long as this thing keeps looping, I'm happy enough. Like, is the way he's putting it. Yeah.
Yes. It's not quite the best death, but it's. Kira's still the best death because essentially he dies almost 3 times. He gets beaten up by the
He
heroes.
dies almost 3 times and like ignominiously, which is just good. It's like, good.
So
You're
pathetic,
a nobody.
Like Poochie getting his arsehole pulled like backwards through time, that's one thing. But like, just having like an ambulance back over your head. This is your grand end, is it?
It's not even that the ambulance is too late. The ambulance was too soon.
And then even after you're dead, you get to killed again.
Again and again.
Well, I don't know. Fucking Diavolo, he had to get killed for infinity for all of the hurt that he caused to everybody who ever hurt in his own lifetime.
He got the waking nightmare of constantly dying. That's not great.
And so then we jumped out into another universe. And now I believe the theory on this is this final universe is a universe in which Poochie didn't exist.
Yes.
So basically, Weather Report pummeled him into the ground while he was trying to reset time again, but Poochie died during this. So this is a universe without Poochie in it, and look how fucking well everything went without Poochie.
Yeah, because it was a lot of his machinations, from walking out of prison as well, that got a lot of them in there, It's the gravity of stand users were drawn together.
I was wondering, was it also like a universe in which, like, because Poochie has absorbed part of Dio and Dio's Dio-ness into himself, is it a universe without Dio as well? Because like that would also improve everyone's lives exponentially.
I
That
mean,
guy was a real dick.
Yeah.
Or where in this case, if there have been Brandos.
Yeah.
Well, no, this isn't the universe. Which the next two do not take place in this universe. This is an entirely separate universe.
I know this is a separate thing, but yeah.
Yeah, I think he probably still did, but everything may have gone differently in part 3 because he hadn't hung out with Poochie prior somehow.
Yeah, like some kind of like butterfly effect. But it is it's Emporio kind of waking up outside the prison, freed from the prison, and there's someone shouting on a bus, and who could be shouting at a bus driver? Not angrily, just making like ridiculous demands that she only has a 50 and I'm just going to stop at this gas station and get change. It's like, hey kid, have you got change for my fare?
It is Hermes, and it's just like it isn't like the cheap knockoff bootleg version. You know, it looks like her. She looks well actually.
Her clothes are a little different, but it looks absolutely like her. It sounds like her. She's being as obnoxious as Hermes tends to be in the best possible way.
Then this like car pulls up, and there's a dude there. He's got like a big hat with a feather in it. It's like, oh, it looks like, oh my god, and who's that in the back seat? It's Anna Street, isn't it? And Julian phones saying, hey, how's it going? I'm Irene. This is Anna Kiss. I'll give you a lift. We're on our way to get married. Or rather, to tell our father we're getting married. I hope he approves. But
I like the way it's like these are like the versions of these characters having their best lives, but also there's still the same kind of characterization. Like Jolene's still kind to a kid she sees suffering.
Yeah.
Anasui is still like, hey, if you buy me gas and food, I will give you a ride to wherever you want to go. And she's just like, you're up to something because I'm Hermes and I know a fucker when I see one kind of thing. So they're still the same people, but their lives are going very well. And the names have changed, but like it's basically the same characterization. Yeah.
It's all about like, the recent universe didn't suck. This didn't make a happy ending instead. Yeah, diddle-a-doo.
Yeah.
Except for FF. FF does not get a happy ending because they did not exist in this.
It has never existed in this one. No.
I saw the thing of people saying, it's like, oh, I'm glad they added FF to the characters we lost thing in the sky.
In memoriam.
Yeah. But I was kind of like, well, FF just gets to be Plankton, which is what FF wanted, really. But yeah, like FF got a good send off in the end anyway, and you know she did end up having a soul, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so we get two ending themes. We get the ending theme of this show, and then we get a
little bit of roundabout.
Yes,
bring it all back.
As it shows,
this is the end of like this is the final like vanquishing of any vestige of Dio versus the Joestar family. Saying, let's think of how far we've come, all the times we've beaten him and things adjacent to him.
It's obviously the nostalgia of hearing roundabout, but it is a roundabout as well because we've been through the end of the universe twice now. We're closing the kind of the knot on it. We're going like, and then the super happy ending because every Joestar has had a tragic ending to some extent or another, even if slightly. But this is like the super happy one. We'll go with that one. And what would become like the different kind of continuity then. Not that I particularly care about following continuities and that kind of thing, but
it also feels like this would be they might just wrap it up here and not do the next 2 or 3.
I think that'd be a shame because there's a lot of fun stuff. It sounds like in the next ones, but
it's just sort of down to just how I think David Production has come on. This is like this was like the franchise that built them up, like, and now they're getting so much other work doing so many other things now. It's like, oh, we'll get. Didn't it say there won't be any Jojo from them in the future? Maybe there won't be any Jojo at all in the future. But I'd say like, oh, this little like fairly regular offering of it from them. It's probably going to be a little while before we see it again. No, and they got to figure out how to do horses, as we've mentioned.
Yeah, I think the sign will be as if there's any more Rohan Kashibe anime.
Yeah, that would definitely would help the show kind of continue.
Yes.
Yeah. And has it been like because my brain is not accepting the passage of time because it's old and broken. Has it been 10 years since a Phantom Blood as well? The other part of like coming back around. Is it 10 years?
I think something like that. Yeah.
Over 10 years. Yeah, it was.
It's been. I thought we were on the dot of it. Yeah. Okay. Over 10 years. Yeah. It's a long old fucking journey. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's definitely like still like interested, and this was a big part of how a lot of things spun off from it. I mean, we're just getting like the live action then of the Rohan at the Louvre, which is just like a book he just did with the Louvre with a one-off story about it. But as most of with Rohan like ones are anyway. But it's just like, yeah, I mean, there's a real fucking just it's no longer this is never as been long, but it's still a niche thing anymore. Like coming across this and coming into reviews to be a lot harder. Like in decades past, and it's just it's just everywhere. Even if it's come out the way it's come out now, isn't maybe as that fever pitch you'd have never like a news to drop of us from before, but the people who know, they know, and they're well into it. Like us.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that. I was just checking that. Rohan and the Louvre's a spin-off of the live-action TV series, not a separate thing of itself.
Okay.
It's a spin-off of it. I've watched one episode of the TV live action because it's on Amazon. I picked one of these stories which hasn't been done as the anime to give it a fair old shot, so I'm not comparing it to something I've already seen. It was about a guy who becomes obsessed with a non-existent word.
That sounds good.
It's pretty good, yeah, particularly because it then turns into some sort of like almost Lovecraftian horror as everyone starts pursuing.
That's what I was thinking just from you saying that's the premise. I was just like a thing that you can't describe, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just like even though stands can do a lot of this kind of thing, he's not locked into the rules as much as it's just for stands. He can do some really bizarre stuff, really crazy shit.
Yeah, so it was quite enjoyable. The hair is more like Jughead's crown. It's more like it's like a leather. It's basically like a leather party hat he's permanently wearing.
There's not much you can do to that to make it look sensible, but I guess it's fashion, so it's fine.
And yeah, it kind of made sense because I was like, oh yeah, it's like Jughead, and like that party hat that Frank Skinner brought in as one of the prizes on the first series of Taskmaster. He's got a leather party hat as well. It's like a permanent cracker party hat. Yeah, so there you go, a possible fashion tip. Yeah, the other thing which dawned to me as I was watching this, because I was like, I decided to look up Pooch's age at some point. I was like, how old is he? He's 39 at this point. So he's 2 years younger than Jotaro, which means he's got to be either had a very busy sort of 14, 15 years old when Dio picked him up, brought him over to Cairo, dumped him back again out of Cairo so he's not there during the events of part 3, or he was picked up even earlier than that by him. So very early and heavy puberty for both him and Weather Report, I think, based on what we see of their flashbacks
Jesus,
together.
have you seen fucking Jotaro? He was like 15, I think, when Stardust Crusaders.
Yeah.
He's 17 in Stardust Crusaders.
Okay, fair enough. But we've established that teenagers can be fucking jacked, is the thing. So, yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm wondering whether the date of birth, I assume that's like a much later add-on that Araki came up with and perhaps hadn't quite thought it all the way through. Because I was like, if he was just like a little bit older, it would make more sense.
Or he could be doing like the thing, because like in the time this was made, it was more common to have teenagers and young adults played by like 30-year-olds and up. So it was kind of like, it could be just, he's a 15-year-old. It's like, isn't that guy like fucking coming on his 40s? It's like, it's fine, it'll be grand.
Yeah.
It's by doing stories in such proximity to the Victorian era and World War II of one said, like, teenagers back then got up to all sorts, went off the war back in those days. So why is it so unusual that you could go off to Cairo to fight a vampire? Small potatoes.
It does make Poochie's pettiness at his brother seem a little bit more realistic as well, though perhaps less realistic that he could then hire a private detective in order to track everything down.
You stole money from Church License Plate.
Then we got Me and Roboco, episode 9, Secrets and Roboco, in which it took like, I guess 2 years for me to actually spot the parody in this episode from the the original release of this chapter.
Hmm.
And that it's a Boys Over Flowers parody, is what it is. Which I am unfamiliar with. It's just I was trying to figure out what episode it was. And I looked up the first character's name, and it brings up a character from Boys Over Flowers because
it's just a 1-for-1, is it?
It's it's like one syllable off on each of their names, except our regular character. Yeah, so Roboco it keeps on sneaking off. Bungo goes to follow her, and turns out
she's got a whole life outside of him.
Yeah, and loads of I guess boys Bungo's age hitting on her.
They're trying to win her heart, but her heart is only for her master. That seems kind of weird.
And
it's all the hottest boys in town as well.
Yes.
All the most desirable, wealthy very young bachelors.
Showbiz types, deliver the works.
Yeah.
All in there.
But it turns out she's working at the Domino's pizza in order to earn enough money to buy Bungo a bike.
I don't know why they went with Domino's, considering the next episode seems to be called Roboco on Twitter. It's just like, come on, you can't say not that one, but you definitely say the other one.
Yeah, I think I checked to find the chapter to get the name, and there was an earlier chapter about her job at Domino's, which I guess the anime is not giving it. It's unimportant. She's got a pizza job. She gets this bike, and it's such a good bike. He's going 125 miles an hour and gets pulled over by the police.
Even my charm doesn't work on the law, Master.
Yeah, it is a Roboco themed bike as well. That was the extra fixins on it. So it has the rocket fists and everything you need.
Briefly, that mad scientist has brought another robot along to fight her, and she destroys it within seconds.
I thought it was the same robot with a
oh, he's now got
bigger claw.
Bigger crab claw. That's it.
They're licking his crab claw, seemingly menacingly, but not actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I saw lots of photos of the very janky Roboco costume at the big anime festival in Japan this week.
Oh.
Got tights with knees drawn on it. So it's not like prosthetic knees they've built. It's just.
Could you not just hire a bodybuilder and then put Roboco's mascot head on the bodybuilder? Would that not work?
Yeah,
too sweaty, too real. I don't know.
It's.
Well, maybe as half baked as it is, that would be a very Roboco thing to do. Just she was my masterpiece.
Right.
Then we got Detective Conan, the Culprit Hanzawa, episode 7, Workers' Requiem. Let me see if I can find the page I bookmarked. So the Gathering of the Detectives, Shinichi Kudo versus Kaito Kid. This is the story that this episode is referencing.
Okay.
So
I was having to pause because it didn't sub it. I was having to pause and try and read their names, what they were.
I just assumed I didn't even know if these were actual characters, or were they exactly the kind of characters you would find in a Detective Conan story, that kind of thing. So no. I was just like, they're probably either real or based on someone real. The guy with the guy who looks like Sherlock Holmes and has a pigeon or a parakeet named Watson, I was like, that's probably a specific guy.
Yes,
he is specific.
He's not even a Detective Conan character. He's a Kaito Kid character.
Okay.
Who has crossed over in this one episode? Occasionally. Yes. So he's Kaito Kid's nemesis. He's the kid detective at the school that Kaito Kid goes to. Who dresses up like Sherlock Holmes and has a hawk called Watson.
Sorry, it was a hawk. Yeah.
With the biggest hat.
So Hanzawa has to get a job in. It's a convenience mart, isn't it?
It's a video shop.
Oh, video shop. That's it.
Oh, it is a video shop.
Video shop.
People are asking about specific titles and stuff, and he's initially delighted to have all these undercover detectives here because undercover detectives very fucking smart. They know the stock offhand. They can point you to the island row. They're very capable.
But they keep getting distracted by mysteries.
Yeah. So he's left
Scooby-Doo gang up in here.
He's left running the till because they're fucking off solving crime or chasing a suspect or chasing tail, whichever specific thing that they're into as a detective. Yeah.
Hanzawa, sorry man, can you cover my shift? I got to defuse a bomb and I got to rescue an air arrest. Well, it's my day off today. No, the camera's really talk to me, man. Please, if you do me a real solid.
I love the way every time it cuts back to her, like she's like, she's running from something. She's
building
ducking and diving
behind her.
Yeah, the same fucking skyscraper exploding behind her. I guess that just explodes every week and is repaired every week, basically. Yeah.
It's very well insured somehow. Previous to the roof this year.
So yes, the other employees are. I think the name. One of them is not in this story because one of them, I guess, is implied to be the brother of the guy who gets murdered in the story, which is the Poirot-looking one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was Izumi Sato, the former forensic investigator who's constantly spraying things with the Luminol. And said, Luminol, yes, the tools of a pro. Yes, you can stop it now. There's no blood there. We found it.
Yeah.
There's Mogi, what's his name? He was like, I'm the cool kind of hard boiled kind of type of guy. A bit of a lady killer, a bit cool, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Philip Marlowe. Yeah, you got.
Yeah.
I guess these people think the Ogami, the original Ogami, was Nero Wolfe rather than Poirot. His brother came across more as Poirot, though, I think. Yeah, and then obviously you've got the guy who's dressed as Sherlock Holmes, and he thinks it's going to be great. These guys are going to be great to work with. They're all very responsible, and then they don't help out at all because they're too busy trying to solve crimes or trying to convince people to rent out crime DVDs.
No. What you want is like a mystery thing rather than. No, I was looking for just like a bit of light fare. It's like no. This is
the superior shit. Mentally stimulating form of entertainment. The mystery. Come on. Let me show you over here, please.
I don't know
but to get a lot of hits on Instagram, though. I mean, the hawk is able to work the tail. It's like, oh, so cute.
Yeah, the hawk may be a better member of staff than the humans, to be honest. But,
yeah, it's like the cat from Hong Kong Fooey, the dog from Spectre Gadget, the guy doing the heavy lifting.
I do wonder if these guys will show up again because the story they showed up in, the murders took place in Sunset Manor, which was formerly owned by the now deceased millionaire, who we've since learned is the head of the black organization. So.
If we get fucking plot in this fucking show,
I don't think it is, but I was thinking these characters may still be trying to keep them in mind because they may come back at some point in future.
Well, but that's his job. That's where he works for the moment, anyway. So
it is funny, just like how unsuited for crime he is, because we still don't know who he wants to murder or why he wants to murder them. But it becomes increasingly hard to believe that he could want to, based on his reaction to all the crime which is going on constantly around him.
Like he's understandably very scared of being murdered himself because he himself is seemingly a suspect, but he hasn't. He's shown murderous tendencies, but then just goes like, "Okay, I feel better now that I've imagined killing them. I don't actually need to do any killing." And I was just like, "That's just a regular person."
Then we've got TRIGUN Stampede, episode 11, Escape from Pain.
More like Escape from Pain. We're going to try and get this one just layer on top of you. Let's bring up all your worst memories and all your Twitch memories. We'll keep all the bad ones and get rid of all the good ones.
Well, I guess he's trying to escape from it, but they're trying to trap him in the pain. So yeah.
Oh, hang on. I think I may have pulled the wrong title. I may have pulled it from the original series, not the. Let me go back.
Oh, did they?
Oh, I may have done, not them. Let me just see.
To a New World, actually, was what
To a New World. There we go. I just typed in TRIGUN Stampede episode 11. For some reason, it gave me the wrong title.
The wrong one. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
It doesn't matter. It's the same tale. Like one knives his fashion and tank of fun saying, I want to assimilate you into this whole network of plants because the grand plan here is, all your plants across the planet. We're not seriously living here and that. But if you're independent, you can walk around like us. Let's make all the plants independent, and that's going to be the dominant species in this plant. What about the people? What about humans fun saying fuck the people? No, remember about that? And just to show you about that, I'm going to assimilate you, and in the process of that, bring you over to my line of thinking. I'm going to show you why I'm doing these things. I did it all for you.
Running the memory erasing software and all kinds of stuff. Like Meryl's just got her Derringer on him and was like, "Hey, fucking take him out of it." It's like, it's too late. It's already at 20%. That means it's past the point of no return. Like, and she shouldn't listen to him. She should shoot him and then shoot the machine. Like that's what you should have done. But like, she keeps listening to him, and he's like, "No, it'll be cool," because basically the plants aren't individuals, because he keeps calling them like a window to another dimension. I was like, I think like you're mixing up your metaphors with windows and doors and shit here. But anyway, he keeps saying Vash is like a window you can open and go through. And I was like, that's a door. So basically they want to connect to the other dimension and then get like editing the core that they're all drawing their power from the other dimension to make them all independent, like Vash and Knives.
Yeah, because to Vash, you again mixing it up to get send and receive and things like that. So
they're mixing their metaphors a lot.
Yeah, but what this process like it entails, and it's just like delving into Vash's subconscious, and Knives is there, and he's just like, it's like show you all of these scenes from our lives together, from our experiences, and that led us here today. Fun. All these people out here that you tried to save, and this, like, they resented you in the end because you tried to help, and what did it amount to? Nothing. All those people who loved us and cared for us back on the spaceship, all those pretty little lies, because we found out we had a sister, and she was like kept like vivisected in a storage capsule inside the spaceship, and obviously I was horrified by that. I've been reading this book that it's called the Bible, and it's like he went into some pretty fucked up shit, and this God got some pretty good ideas about how we should deal with it. But how about like Rem seems pretty sound, like she said like there wasn't anything that she did or was involved with like a long time ago, and she's horrified by that too. She wants like to just give him a chance, she's mine after us, and she wants us like to try and be better than that. And saying, yeah, but that's just lip service, man. I mean, they're still keeping our brethren like in the tanks, like you can kind of see his point of view, if I'm saying.
But the other thing is like the reason humanity abuses the plants is because you crash them on this fucking inhospitable planet, and the plants are the only thing they can use to survive. And it's like, yeah, but you gave me the code. It's like, I gave you the code because I didn't know you were going to crash the fucking... Like, it's basically like, this is all Knives' fault. And the doctor kind of going, it's just like, it's a brother's love versus his love for humanity. And it's like, his brother's a dick. Why is this a contest?
He's trying to put it back on and say, I'm just trying to help you out, bro, because you didn't have like,
I did this for you.
I did it all for you, Davey. I did it for you.
Like you weren't useful like me or the other plants. So basically you'd be like even more of a liability. That's why I decided to kill all humans, because you have no powers.
I just wanted to because you wouldn't ever be able to come like your real self, like you would be able to self-actualize, because you were reliant on wanting to be nice to them and getting pats on the head off of them. You would never be able to like ever like survive even without them, So I had to show you the way to do it. He's just kind of fun, just tearing off his bits, fun. His memories are kind of erupting into like like showers of flower petals, and then even the memory of Rem, like the mother they never knew he needed, even that one said, nah man, she's not fun. She knew about all of that, and she used to sell all those things, and maybe she was from being genuine, but it doesn't matter that she was like complicit in these things. And
she's a human. We gotta kill all humans. Yeah.
And she's trying to like excuse it and kind of wipe it over. Like everyone's saying, who's to say that's she mightn't do it, but who's to say like something that's another human wouldn't? No, we can't let that happen. It can't let it be. Again, I've reading this book. This Bible it's some real dynamite stuff in here. I tell you.
Some solid ideas about like destroying all humans in the Bible. And he's going through Vash's memories, having these conversations with him and that kind of stuff. But like outside, he has injected his knives into Vash in that big tank he dumped him in the last one, and Vash has like grown a bunch of vines that are seemingly corrupting all the plants anyway.
Yeah, and then
something nasty happening.
And then at the kind of at the climax of it, then all the flowers start blooming, and it seems to be kind of the iridescence, like the window to the other dimension. And now the army. Now the career forces try to do something useful and then to start one.
When the tower starts erupting in vines, it's like we're being attacked by some kind of creature. And I did like the one guy is like, oh, we're on the watch for the human typhoon. And it's like, oh Jesus, what's that? And he's just there still eating his noodles the whole time. So that's like the only moment of levity in it, because even when that tower gets covered in vines and flowers and stuff, it then turns into like a humanoid form, and it's like, oh, that's not good.
Looks pretty cool though. I like
it does look very cool.
Yeah. And Wolfo thought he was out. I've done my job. I delivered him here. You know, I've challenged his point of view all the way, but I got him to you knives. You know, I'm out of here. I'm done. Everyone's saying, "Fuck you," says Meryl. Some priest you are. But then he goes back to the left, and there's poor Bobby De Niro, and there's this guy's last pack of smokes. He's just out. Everyone's saying, okay. But I guess the God pay you back for the cigarettes then, you know. It's written all over his face. He's going to come back and do it, you know. There was a great little bit there when Meredith's putting welts him in the shin, you know, and you get that classic, you know, one you see like, you know, the tingle.
You kind of like you've seen Lupin or something. Yeah.
But like the seeing it like I do this in their style of animation and have it kind of, oh, that works very well. Doesn't feel like rigid at all. It's even great bits when, you know, just like it's a nice little scene, you know, with Vash and knives when they were kids, you know, and they know they're fun fighting over one saying, you're stupid, no, you're stupid, no, and there's like realistic kind of like, you know,
squabbling
and flailing about. It was just it's nice, like, you know. I noticed in the interim that there is going to be a final phase of this. You know, whatever that means. Is there going to be like another set of episodes? Is it going to be a special or a film after this 12th episode? Everybody haven't like come around to watching yet. So I'm kind of wondering what sort of thing it's going to arrive on. Is it going to be an ending of some kind, and then what's after was just like, you know, extra little thing or something set in this universe, you know, or are we going to get the actual ending of the story in whatever this other set of things is?
Yeah,
because it's already kind of rattled through so much of it already. I'm not sure quite what else I could kind of go to.
I did just look at how it ends, and we could discuss it next week.
Okay.
It's definitely a choice.
Yeah, it's a speaking of this, how much it's crap is fun blasted through stuff. You know, it's trying to hit these fucking like moments.
Yeah, there's definitely certain things it wants to hit. Generally the more dramatic story beats and that kind of thing, rather than the digging about wildness, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it being kind of big. Oh yeah, man, the drama right there. But then it's just like, no, okay, and then on to the next thing, on to the next thing. Like, saying, hang on now, let's just Jesus, because and it's just kind of little kind of moments then, like, you know, where it's like it's kind of being kind of effective in that, you know, and that the ones I remember from the original comic, even before saying just a little, like, you know, this page here was just like enough in itself to kind of sell you on a lot of what it says and what it says out loud a bit too much. I think it was an episode or two ago where Wolfwood was just like, you know, Vash's coat, you know, he's trying to you know, staunch a wound, and the coat comes off, and Wolfwood sees, you know, the massive scar tissue that Vash's body is, and I'm saying,
yeah,
I see that's like the price you've had to pay for trying to be the good guy and save everybody. So, you know, I think he kind of reconsiders. So when he looks at all that, like, you know, his opinion of him about just trying to like take the easy way out, you know, when he runs away from like all the hard stuff and say, no, he's faced all the hard stuff and it's etched into him.
Yeah.
But then, like, you know, you're gone again.
Like, I think it's the difference of like your more modern adaptation, like wanting to get everything done because they're not sure if they're going to get a sequel or if they're going to get like a second series to do it. It's like, we need to cram it in this fucking season. We need to get it fucking done, like blast through it. And then you don't have those like quieter moments that let the kind of the message and the visuals kind of sit with you. And it's a pity because, like you said, there are some like really beautiful, wonderful looking moments in this, but it really does blast through it.
It's I really want to avoid that trap of modern like TV kind of pacing where once you get a load to start and you get a load at the end, but it's like, you know, a lot of cruft in the middle where it's setting up things. They're moving in the background. It's ominous in the shadows because we're going to like have a big thing at the end, and then it's going to like set up things for a second series which may not come.
Yeah.
Particularly like in when things get turned out so fast onto a streaming thing, and everyone's saying, "Yeah, you ain't got commission for the one series to kind of get the more eyeballs in the service again, and anybody who possibly hasn't subscribed, who's still interested out there, might want to do it." That's all I had to do it for. Then no more season after that because you've done your job as far as we're concerned. Because we know interest drops off after that initial blast.
Yeah, it's a really hard balance, like, and obviously we saw it with Jojo and stuff. Like, we did, I at least I didn't see nearly as much discussion of that because people watched it all in one, and then they were good, and then possibly didn't come back for the next season, that kind of thing. Rather than as we've been doing, watching it week to week, that kind of way.
But comparatively, then TRIGUN, I felt has been a bit more like active and current in people talking about it, because it's coming out week to week, and it's like it's they take some interesting decisions with people who are familiar with it from before or kind of intrigued to see what they're going to touch on, what they're going to what version they're going to give of these events. And it's been definitely interesting, especially kind of like the general consensus of it. It's like it's interesting things to do. Choices.
Then we've got in Spectre season 2, episode 23, Sleeping Murder.
So it turns out that fox spirit didn't kill her at all. Nope.
So
I was about to.
Everyone's a fucking liar. Everyone's bullshit, and she's going to call everyone out on their bullshit. The fox spirit, like, it was like, I turned into a dog and I was gonna go, I'm a dog, and attack her, right? But then someone ran up there and fucking stabbed her, and I was like, what the fuck? I'm not gonna get paid if I didn't do it. And so it's like, okay, I'll turn my head into her head. I've been murdered. Someone call the police. And then it's like, okay, run off. And then I'll say, I did the job. Now pay me back, rich old man. And it was just like, so it all worked out for me, the fox spirit.
Yeah. And that person was, it was Kaoruko. It was Mr. Koya's, he was the daughter of one thing. And it's like, yeah, that thing was like she broke her leg, like, really for real. And she couldn't go out. She went down and did it earlier, came back, then broke her leg and went on to the whole thing, So it seemed like the plan that he had agreed to do didn't plan out at all. But she's just like solidifying the alibi right then and there.
Yeah, so basically she did it of her own course. Her husband actually wasn't involved. He only found out about this years later when the dad went, hey, come down and prove to me how I killed your mother. And she was like, shit, he knows. So then she got the husband in on it and caught him up to the story part way, but there was inconsistencies of what he understood. Like, he didn't know that she called out after the being stabbed kind of thing. That was a surprise to him. And it's like he should have been told that, and he was like, no. And he stupidly, like, she kind of coaxes him into, like, no, she checked the body, she wasn't breathing. And it's like,
how would you know that?
I was like, gotcha, motherfucker. Only someone who fucking checked the body would know that the body wasn't fucking breathing. And it's like, but yeah, no, it turns out she was breathing. This part is a lie. It was a fox who took it on her voice. But you guys don't need to know that. But yeah, so it's kind of the thing of gotcha. And so the dad, the husband, is having like not quite having a heart attack, but he's having a fucking panic attack.
Distraught. He's like, what the fuck has happened out here? And saying, well, I'll leave you to sort this out. I mean, I've done the job here. No, so I'll just leave you to kind of just toss grenades amongst you, and you figure it out. And it's like, hold it right there, Missy. I can't have you walk away knowing this. It's like, oh, really? A gun? How cute.
And and it's just like, I'll fucking kill you. I can't let you out. You're gonna ruin our fucking name. I know it's past the statute of limitations. It's gonna ruin the company. It's gonna ruin everyone's fucking reputation. And your man's just like, listen, buddy, I'm the bodyguard. Like, I can.
You don't want no trouble here.
I think he says something like, I don't have a life to bet on, or I don't have a life to throw away. And he shoots him between the eyes, and he goes down. And it's like, all right, now you next. And then obviously he gets back up and goes like, yeah, I'm not dead. So
stop that, please.
Cut that out. And she's like, pretend it was all a dream. Woo! And like leaves basically, is because they're just like, did that guy just get shot? Like, because like, I shot you through the head. I can see the bullet hole in the wall behind you where I shot you. And he's like, I guess it was blunt side of the bullet. And he's like, that's not how anything works. But she's just like, it's all a dream.
Bullet.
Pretend that I'm not real. I leave now. Goodbye. It's like, well, we did just shoot him in the head. There's not really much I can do. So you man kind of like they leave his gun back there.
It's
like,
best it doesn't get out because, as we said, we're trying to protect our reputations here. But yeah, it doesn't really pan out for them because fun Carol Code then she just fucking this goes into like it has a weakness, and this point it's so fucking like guilt ridden by being found out what you done and be aired in front of her family. That's like, but on the plus side, it's really manipulative between two brothers there. No, he started going to the restaurant again, having lunch.
They started talking. Yeah, they're kind of mending their relationship. And the thing is, like, it's interesting that the character who was the culprit was the character who we have never seen. Like, we always see her face in shadow, that kind of thing. The daughter. We only know her through her relationships with the other people, and like they're all kind of worried about her because obviously she's been hospitalized now that she's so worried sick that she was going to be found out that she murdered her mom, and they're all just like, they all feel really bad for her. And the dad is like in not in his deathbed, but he's in his like bed recovering because he's had such trouble. Like, hearing about this is really taking him a knock to his health. And I was kind of like, yeah, but that's kind of, they're getting what they deserve. And the positive thing is it worked out between the brothers, but they're still worried about their sister in hospital and how she's doing, and their dad who's in his bed, that kind of thing.
It is like, and
there is repercussions to murder, basically.
Like, he calls me one more time for saying, "I'm glad I called you, but I fucking wish I'd never called you as well, because like it's just like I never knew it would get this kind of fucked up. I never knew that, like, you know, I thought, like, you know, it'd be fine if it was just me who was, like, you know, complicit responsible for his crimes.
He was willing to take the blame for the murder, but the fact that his daughter took the blame and now she's sick and that's making him feel sick, and it's like, it's the idea that it's like, oh, I'll be the martyr to this. It's like, oh, you want to fucking see the repercussions for murder? All right, pal, here we fucking go. And he wasn't prepared for how ugly it would actually get. When it's like, no, it's ruined a lot of your relationships. Your last days are probably going to be spent even longer in your bed as you die from tumors and stuff. But the thing he asked her back was, hey, you, the bodyguard, you're not the cousin of this other one, are you, by any chance? And he's like, oh fuck, you know her. It's like, yeah, she recommended her to me, but she said you don't want to get in contact with her. She was fucking right.
I was saying, why would she put you onto me?
Yeah,
probably is some kind of diversion for what she's actually traveling around doing. So like, yes, her web goes very, very wide. But it is like, you know, even if you use a kind of like cut out a middleman to do it, if you hire someone to like do it and you don't fucking like take it yourself, even if, like, you know, you consult otherworldly powers to do it for you, you're still tainted by the deed. Doesn't matter how far removed you are from it. And even if you had, like, you know, you had your good intentions, everyone's got good intentions. It's
kind of like contrasted with your man, the boyfriend, kind of sitting with her, talking this out and going like, is like, nah, like they played with fire and they got fucking burned. Like, it took them years down the line, but they did suffer the consequences of it. And he's like, I'm not 100% sure you're the bad guy, honestly. Like, it's not clear. You're kind of a dick. That was like, it definitely wasn't the kind thing to do, even if it was the justice and the balance thing to do. Yeah.
But that's like, you know, the kind of personality. You need to be the arbiter of these things, and you may not like it, but fucking prosecution rests. You know, she's got to be the fucking the hard case here. That's why she got one chosen for the job, I suppose.
Right. Then we got Vinland Saga. Remembered it this time. Season 2, episode 11, Kings and Swords.
Ooh, two things.
It is. We got kings, we got swords. Well, we've got a king because the one's dead. But we have
2 kings, one live king and one dead king.
That's true. Though I feel like
it's very important that one of them is recently dead.
Yeah, I guess you're still a king after you're dead, aren't you? You're just not the current king. You still get referred to as a king.
There's immediate
ghost king.
There's immediate succession.
Yes.
Succession, I think, of kings. But he hasn't been coronated as King of Denmark yet. So that's still in the air. He's acting King of Denmark, and then Ymon has no heirs. It's going to be his brother who takes over as king.
Caretaker manager for the rest of the season.
So he's two kings at the moment. So that's how we're at right now.
Well, we open with Canute sparring with Wolf. Shocking. What's the relationship of Estrid to them?
Estrid, that's it's Canute's sister, and sister. Is that actual sister? Or was she the sister-in-law?
Sister.
Was it actual sister? I thought it was like raised as sibling kind of thing.
Well, not yet. Why raised as like because she's he used to be such a gentle young man. Now he's out there fighting with swords. How vulgar and brutal. Yeah, but he's got to show like the rest of the subjects now and everybody like that he's like how he fights and when he does it. The way he fights his fights dirty because hey man, when his sister over there is like no, looking at this phone saying now won't work on me, King. Won't work on me, boss. If I try it.
Yeah, she's talking to some dude. It's like, is she fucking talking to some dude? It's like fucking shielding face, bitch. Because he's losing. Not badly. He's doing pretty fucking well. I especially like the thing where your man does the kind of move where he blocks his field of vision with his shield and then kind of comes across with the side and it comes across exactly where that scar is on Canute's face and it's just like you won't fucking get me twice. You won't fucking get me twice with that kind of thing. It was nice framing of it, just like I'm just barely holding my own against this guy who is much better. Time to play dirty, and then he makes him yield, and everyone's just like, oh, I mean, like he only won 1 out of 5 of the bout, but I mean, like he did make him yield, so it's like, well done, King.
Like he was wearing more armor still as well as it was like.
So they were impressed by how quick he could move in that amount of armor. Yeah.
It was some king we got here, and Kettle's gone. Who's king now? What? Oh, I got all this stuff with fucking Harold's name in it. Like, I'm going to change all the fucking tags on this tribute now. Ah, Jesus.
It's like you're the king, one of the king's guards, right? Yeah. Do you think you get me like an audience with the king, and I could give it to the new king, going like, hey, new king, I was your brother's friend. I want to be your friend too.
I'll see what I can do, Dad.
But we already know at this point though that because Gunnar's brought Canute some paperwork, and they got to go. We got to get this amount of money.
So we either need to increase the taxes of everyone in England, which everyone in England will be mad about, because you want to maintain a force in England to maintain your power. But if we increase taxes, people will get mad at them, and they will need even more guys to fight all the revolutionary. And it's the whole thing. So the best thing, and Canute's is like, what if we requisition like some really cool land off like guys? And as like, yeah, that's going to piss off people as well, but it's going to like piss off the rich people rather than the lots of poor people. And it's like that's the one I'm going to go for.
Yes, because Gunnar first suggests, we get some more land, and he's like, no, it'll take us too long to turn it into farmland.
To develop it, yeah.
So it's like we'll just take farmland off rich people.
I know 2 guys who'll do it in 3 years for you, though. So,
and wouldn't you know, a guy who was told by his dad, don't make so much farmland, it'll put you in trouble.
You'll draw too much attention to yourself. And he didn't say from thieves. So it's kind of like, yeah. Victim of his own fucking success. Because he's going through the papers, it's like, hey, what about this fucking guy? What's his name? His land looks pretty good. And he's like, oh yeah, I'd recommend that one, says your man. And then like obviously they hear from the grapevine, it's like, yeah, that guy would like an audience with you, and it's like the next day it's like, hey Dad, I got an audience with you like really early. It's like, wow, fuck, you must be really on the king's good list. Like good job, son.
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
have to bring Omar.
that is before they have to deal with Omar being a buffoon, continuing to be
but also targeted by Thorfinn. Tries to run a con on him.
What are you doing here?
I really enjoy that we have like I think there's another one I'm probably forgetting. You got obviously Thorfinn, Thorkill, and also Thorfinn.
Yes.
I call him Bug Eyes for short because that's why guys. He just looks so much like him. I couldn't bear to part with him. I'm kind of starting a collection here. Also, it helps to have a dude who looks like the dude I'm actually trying to look for. I just kind of point to him.
He looks like this guy, but less like
his eyes are really got like kind of cool, like a hawk's or a lion or something.
I guess it's the thing of as well. It's just like, hey, I'm looking for a guy. He's a young guy. He's short, blonde, and it's like, here's one. And it's just like, no, that's no good. Throw him back. And it's like, that feels really bad. Okay, I'll raise him as my son. Yeah,
those cute bug eyes. Just
he's like if someone drew a cartoon of Thorfinn, regular Thorfinn, and like made him look silly. So that's Thorfinn too.
And also, he is a man who needs a father to keep him out of trouble because
he's a little like it's funny because your man is like, hey, where's my idiot son? It's like, oh, he went to town. He's only gonna get into the, like, fucking mischief and fucking get in a fight and something, and someone's gonna bump into him and go like, hey, you bumped into me and knocked my gear over. Now you have to pay for it. And that's literally what Bug Eyes is doing to him. And it's just like, yeah, and it's just like, that's exactly the thing that I knew you'd fucking do because you're that stupid. You're that predictable in your stupidity.
Yes, and it's a stereotypical sort of Japanese street con.
I assume this is a con as old as fucking time.
Yes,
basically.
but it's the sort of thing which Mob would fall to in Mob Psycho.
Yeah.
But old Mob's not falling to it for it. He's going to start a fight instead. Until the dads show up and tell them both off.
Let's settle this up with some wine and bread.
I did the first dad showing up and going like, here's the money. He's like, looks in bag of gold. Is like, yeah, that's enough. And the other dad coming in is like, give him his fucking change, you little shit.
Here's a go. I'm Lee Ferguson. I'm a straight up gent. What was this guy Thorfinn? If I got a Thorfinn. Oh, was he like, this kind of a bit
short,
like that?
Blonde, about this age.
Looks like he's fighter fun saying, I haven't seen him fight, but he is cut. He is cut. Like, he's cut, and also he is like cut the ribbons. Like, he's obviously been in a lot of fights. But saying that might be my dude. Where are you? I'm over here. That's ages away. We're gonna like miss the fucking going back to Greenland if we go out now.
Yeah, I did appreciate him trying to argue with it. It's just like, we could just go to his farm. He said we could follow him there. It'll take 5 days there and 5 days back in. It's like, that's 10 days. The ocean will freeze in the meantime. We'll never fucking make it home. We're not doing that. Like, it is critical timing, I guess. Yeah.
It's like Moles has got to take the boat back to Iceland, so Leaf is like, you're on your own if you want to go and go to this farm, which obviously they're going to take you longer to get there. Because you'll have to go by land rather than boat,
and also wait for the season basically to change as well.
Yeah. The other key bit is Kettle refers to Thorfinn as a servant to begin with until Leaf pushes him on it and then learns that he's a slave.
And it's kind of like I didn't want to say he was a slave because I didn't want to be judgy, but like, and Kettle is being so cool with him being a slave. Listen, I let him earn his own freedom. When I get back home, he's fucking free. Like, I'd already established that beforehand. I'm not just saying that to you now. I'm a man of my word. I'm an honest.
I also think his brain was already the one step ahead. Is like, he's not going to be a slave any longer, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be my servant after I stop him from being a slave.
That's how it always goes with these things.
Because as a slave, he owned no property. And since he's like, now I'm a free man with no property, it's like, cool. Do you want a job and a place to live? It's like, I'll maybe let you live in some place that isn't a barn to sleep. Wouldn't that be nice? From the last 3 years when you've been sleeping in a barn.
Because then that's kind of mirrored in Canute's thinking. It's like, well, I seize these land from rich people. I mean, the people who work on it will just they'll be as happy to work for me as they were for the rich person they previously worked for. So,
win-win.
All we've got to worry about is what defenses they've got. So I need you to I want to find out what the defenses they got, because this guy Kettle, he's going to be my first target.
And I love Kettle being seen, and it's just like, I hope you enjoyed the gifts, Your Majesty. It's me because I was good friends with your brother, the prior king, and I'd like to be good friends with you. And he's like, all that really good shit you got me, that was all from your farm. And he's like, yes, from my farm. It's like, that was excellent quality stuff. You're a great Viking who's really good at farming and has a very nice farm. And he's like, thank you, Your Majesty. What a compliment.
I want to be your royal guard. Check out my sword clearance.
Don't pull your sword out in front of the king. It looks like you're going to murder him. What are you doing, you stupid child? It's like, all right, demonstrate on this stuffed pig what you would do if that was an enemy to me, the king. Like, here we go. He's like, and that he goes try to saw it is the funniest fucking thing.
Just like there's so many little things there. You get to see him also close up as well. He's got a shitty little mustache, right? He's got his fucking slicked back hair. He's torn the sleeves off his tunic, so it's all done.
He looks like a bad cosplay of Ryu or Ken.
And to top it off, skull belt buckle.
Yeah. It is pretty beautiful.
We're tough.
Like, you can tell what a tough guy looks like because he's just a giant slab of a man, whereas this guy looks like a fucking teenager who's dressed as what he thinks a man should dress like. Yeah.
Canute is very polite and says, "I consult my captain and let you know if we're going to take you on." And then the family are
We'll call you.
just everyone is ashamed. Oh, Mark Kettle is
The
ashamed.
older brother's kind of like, the other guards are going to be taking the piss out of me for that for the longest fucking time. Jesus, man, it's fine. What's done is done. Like it's okay. Like just cry into your beer for a while. We'll get through this. It'll be grand.
Yeah, Olmar's crying as well. Wolf's basically
Kettle has got to cry to sleep as well.
Yeah, Wolf's like, yeah, people like him. There's no purpose for me. No purpose for him in war. But then
I would hate, like,
very
it's like, what do you think of him as a soldier? It's like, I would hate to have him under my command. He would make things very fucking difficult. It's like, what do you think about him besides as a captain of the guard? It's like, he's very fucking useful.
Oh, he's
like,
brilliant. Oh,
this has landed in our fucking lap now.
the duck with a leak on its back.
Yeah, this is very obviously it's quite reminiscent of various parts of Golden Kamuy of manipulating various sons of people who want to join the army.
Yeah. How many patsies can we get out of this military industrial complex?
And also because I've been listening to some of the new the new versions of the Discworld audiobooks. I was like, and the veterinary heavy ones, those the ones I'm listening to at the moment. I was like, it's reminded me of that as well.
They're very fun manipulation stuff in that. Yeah.
It's yeah, this is some fun stuff. And it's got Bug Eyes. Bug Eyes introduced. He's one of my favorite characters because he's the comedy character, which is why I feel like they toned the comedy down on some of the earlier chapter adaptations, because then it's like,
because the funny guy's coming up. Yeah,
here's the funny guy. Poor old Bug Eyes. Other fourth in. That's the other name I think he has.
That's the problem when you're the second Thorfinn that you know quite well. It's like, you're always going to be Thorfinn too. Sorry, dude.
Yeah. It was a problem when in our role play group we had 3 Martins.
Martin with a Y and Martin with 2 N's.
Yeah, pretty close to that. Yeah. There was a Martin with a Y, so that brought things down a lot easier.
Martin with 2 T's, 2 R's, and 2 N's. Whoa.
Then we got High Card, episode 11. Chris, what you doing, Chris? What you planning?
He's been going rogue all this time. That time I went off my own, shot a dude, took his card, no biggie. Remember that time we did that heist? I was swapping in for a fake card. I swapped in a fake card, and the clan went off in a fake as well. It was all fakes. I got that 5.
I got the full hand now, so I just simply released the facade. And he is talking about the difference of because he goes through his past. It's like, I remember what it was like to smile, not this fake smile that I wear today. But he's refusing to heal himself because it's like he's saving up to play the hand, I guess, when he needs to. Which everyone's like, dude, why are you so fucked up looking? It's like, no, I'm not gonna get into that right now.
Plays a little smart though, where he doesn't have any stuff on me. He posted it to Chelsea to give to him to meet in the car park, and it's got the cards, a fake ID, and a gun. Everything you need to go on the run.
So that whole bit with him on the train as well was him not refusing to, like, him going like, you can kill me, I don't fucking care. It's just like, yeah, he doesn't have his card on him. You could kill him right now, but he actually doesn't care because he has this whole plan of like, I need to get that other 5. That's his entire focus.
Yeah. Yes. Well, Finn survived because indeed the cards are indestructible, and he shot him in where the card was stored in his pocket. He sent 200,000 to Lindsay to help with the orphans. And Lindsay pays Finn a visit and then gives him the speech that he's needed. Is like basically saying, "Stop being so attached to the building. We're your actual family and friends."
It's just you saved everyone. It was just a matter of phrasing. Is all what.
And it was like when I said I didn't want you to come back here. I want you, like, as a person who's like raising you in the orphanage and shit, as your parent, your caregiver type person. I want to see you move on with your life and not be attached to here. I want you to do well for you. That's all I want. That's all I want.
Yeah, this is an important speech because then it sets Finn up to flip the speech that Chris gives to Finn at the end of the episode. And then Finn just throws that speech right back in his face. Because, he's being a fool. But then he gets fired because they overhear him do this. so, um,
Hmm.
so I guess Finn is also in trouble, but not as much trouble next week.
Yeah, he's just been kicked out of high card for like we've taken your card and your badge and your gun.
Yes.
But
don't
your
get
card is your
involved.
badge and your gun. That's
Yeah,
really,
it-
this is
it-
really convenient for me. I'm gonna take
Yeah,
one thing off
that
you.
actually saves a lot of fucking time. I think my favorite bit was when Chris is driving off in the car, like trying to get away, and he kind of jumped out the window. Was like, "No, Chris." Sorry, Finn is. Chris is driving off in the car, and he's like, "No, Chris," and then like a gun comes out the window. It's pretty good.
Chris does get rescued by the most dangerous woman in the Klondikes as well. At one point,
Which is disturbing. Do you really want her on your side? And
They're
like,
planning a terrorism.
yeah.
yes,
in a
everyone else
probably
is in the
mad rush or
series.
some kind of like climax of this series anyway, even though it's been it's got a second series announced there at the weekend.
Well, you can always reshuffle and play another round, like, so it's fine. Yeah.
I suspect
If you really have to.
Yes, second series announced is the remaining planned episodes. We just announced it because that's what happened with Vampire Dies in No Time, wasn't it? It was like last time. It was like we come to the end of the series, but don't worry, in 6 months there'll be another 12 episodes.
We're not already renewed. We're still working on it right now.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
I felt this one kind of did fall into the trap a little bit of not spacing it out, where it's just like a lot at the start. It's going to be a hell of a lot at the end. There's a bit of like Croft and Millie Croft. Well, put a little bit in more to kind of place us up ahead a bit. Because especially if you I got the impression of how immediate it was. If I'm saying, well, you knew you were going to get fucking like more after this. Why didn't you just like leave it kind of lay it out a bit better than that?
It felt a bit like the spacing on the. Well, no, Tiger and Bunny's better because it did end on an ending, and then it was like, there's
there is
more.
an ending.
Which I guess is there's going to be. We're getting Giant Beast of Arse. That's in a similar situation where
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, it's doing it differently again, but yeah, similar kind of thing.
It gives you an ending, but then it goes, but there could be more.
To be continued. Yeah.
Wiggle eyebrows.
Like it's just like I noticed this is a multimedia thing, and it's like no, it's Ticket 52. So across a TV series and like a mobile game and whatever else, you kind of we can get through all the kind of different cards from there. But it's like it's felt like you need more space to even the couple of cards that get introduced here, like like the rival automobile company Who's Who, and like the madman who runs that and his hench people. If I'm saying. Gotta bring them back in. I just throw Rush back in at the end.
One episode of it, It's almost like they needed 52 episodes.
Oh God.
Playing card of the week.
I've got a real fondness for it, but I've been trying to it's got some good ideas, it's got fucking things. But I think it's like overall, it's got like a kind of like a charm to it. It's just like I'm trying to kind of like defend it a little bit.
No, it's all right, because we did enjoy it. Like we dropped Buddy Daddies because it not because of pacing things, but because narratively it wasn't as satisfying as watching High Card week to week.
It's just
it's doing things right for sure.
Yeah, Buddy Daddies has a heartlessness to it, which High Card definitely doesn't have. It's
I mean, like High Card is doing like a lot of things by road. It's like, he got shot. He's definitely got shot in the card. It's like, we know how this goes. But it's still more satisfying because it's like, we predicted that and it followed through with it. That kind of.
So the extent of Chris's planning was a nice twist. It was like, it was a good thing of like, oh no, I've been working on my own motivations the entire time.
The episode that you have seen that I had an opportunity to steal that card, I fucking did, and also on my off time, I stole a different fucking card. Like you didn't even see that because the camera wasn't focused on me. I can do shit off screen basically.
And redoing the flashback from last episode, because the flashback from last episode was from Aya's point of view, which is essentially from his dad's point of view, and now it's from his point of view, lying in the hospital bed.
Which is interesting because he does have a different perspective on it essentially.
As well, like it didn't even happen to him until he got that first 5, and then I thought, like if I can get 1 5, if I can find the rest of them, I can do that. Yeah.
Like maybe he was just coasting along with the mask just as a survival trait, but then went, "Fuck! I actually have a way out." Basically, yeah.
I also like that the next episode is episode 12. Finn, and they was only seeing it on the screen. I was like, oh yeah, that's that that's a great sort of final episode name pun. It works quite well.
I'm also like the last 2 episodes. I've been very fond of the tonal disconnect between how the episode ends and that fucking music coming in. It's just like that. Like, can you give me like a minute of silence before you break into that or something? Like, just space it or something.
Then we got The Vampire Dies in No Time, Season 2, Episode 11. Please suggest warming each other up. Legend of the Ronaldist and Waltz with the Smiling Ice Lord in the Town of the Eternal.
This one's got everything.
It does.
It was really what I went down. He was like, some fucking around in various forms, and we end on a cliffhanger. We go like, extend this thing into the next episode. It's like, oh my goodness, dramatic stakes.
It's very well done. The opening, please suggest warming each other up. Like from the premise, it was like, oh, I know exactly where this is going, but it's like, okay, we're trapped in a cabin in the mountains in the snow. We had to fight a snow vampire. He's here with us. He's some fucking guy. We've never seen him before, which is just beautiful. That it's just like, hello, I'm a businessman vampire who got really bored, and I like the snow, and I like I want people to enjoy the snow vampire. He calls himself or something.
Yeah, it's fine. He's made
This
too
is
much
a snowman. Yeah, he made too much snow, and he can only make snow. He can't make not snow, and they're all trapped in this cabin. So
fire's dying low.
We got to get naked and hug each other because that's the only way out of this. But no one wants to suggest because if you suggest it, it sounds like, are you into that? Or I can't suggest it because like I fucking got us into the situation with my snow thing. It's like, I'm not going to suggest it. I'm the bikini vampire and I'm here as well for some reason. Even though I'm basically naked anyway.
The fucking other do fun thing. Well, I just got here on a job, I can't let my rep like slide any further than it already has. So I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, so it's Ronaldo, his brother.
Chief.
Yeah, the Dampier from Tokyo. It's the micro bikini vampire who was doing snowboarding, and then it's New Dendium.
He was doing micro bikini snowboarding. It's trendy, all right? Shut up.
And New Dendium is there because he wanted to see the spring buds on the mountains.
He's the most naked of them all.
He's already nude, yeah.
He wasn't even wearing his cape like he usually is, the fool. Well. And yeah, obviously this old man vampire who's like, they're like, who the fuck is this guy? It's like, I'm the snow vampire you were fighting. That's why we're in the situation. But for their own reasons, except for Nudenium, who's just like too fucking cold to think.
He's just dying, yeah.
Yeah, he's a wilting flower. Like, you can't really help it. All of them have reasons for not being the first to bring it up. Or all of them like, oh, are you fucking egging your man on? It's like, oh, are you? That's a good in for you to bring it up, but no one will bring it up.
Anybody? Bikini vampire guys are going for insane. I'll go for it and I'll say, oh, it's my part of my plot, like, to put bikinis on everybody and take over the world. Ha 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 ha.
If I fight them, they'll be in bikinis, and then we'll have to start hugging. Yeah.
But then Ronaldo once slaps him down, but saying, haha, I got you, for saying, no.
Slaps you down, rips off the bikini, is completely nude for a considerable portion of it.
For saying, that won't look at me anymore. I have no shame. My spirit's been broken long ago, I'll have you know.
And now that I'm naked, I'm going to suggest, and his brother's like, yeah, what are you going to suggest?
Everyone's got to get naked. Yeah. And they got to start dancing. They got to generate some fun heat in here. Yes, that's close enough. So
as they start dancing, the search party is out in the mountains looking for them, and their cabin has loosened from its moors with all the vigorous man dancing naked inside it, and is sliding down the hill towards.
God, to the rocket house, to the rocket house.
And when they open it up, it's exactly the kind of thing that you'd expect. They're all hugging for warmth.
It's golden Camway. Yeah,
basically.
We should say how they're finding them is Draluk has like dividing rods, and John has a banana dangling from a string on a stick.
I thought it was a carrot.
Is it banana? I don't know. It's just bananas good for dowsing. Maybe they are.
Maybe it has a direction it can point. I guess. Well, they literally have your man who's a Dampier who's detecting there's a vampire coming towards us. It's that cabin that's in the woods that's coming towards us, and it ends like you'd expect. Everyone's saved. They're all fine. This show is mostly horny for dudes, much like Golden Camway. So yeah.
It just like things as it all. It was very apparent from the first series of it that all his clothes fall off is funny, but I'm saying, but now it's come on one day, all his clothes off funny, and then it kind of goes off. It doesn't just stop there. Like I get used to it, but I'm saying it's all the clothes fall off, and then more happens. That's the start of the joke.
Because they're all going to have to get naked and hug for warmth, and then the guys are going to find them all hugging and naked. That's how it ends. But getting there is the fun part. Like, that's the joke.
It's the shame is the fun part. It's the shame they all have that they know what they should do, and none of them wants to be the one to suggest they do it.
It's just like that. Like, that's how the city is. Sometimes being a hero is the most uncool, dumbass thing that you have to do, but that's just what you do in the name of justice and the law.
Yeah.
The second part is Sanzu and Handa competing in a
Yu-Gi-Oh duel.
Pistol duel.
So yeah, she's shown up to pick up the manuscript in lieu of it, and he's delighted because initially he thinks that it's just like, well, she likes me, so I'll be able to get an extension. But like automatically, her bursting in is like, hey, where's the fucking thing? And he is hidden in the wardrobe. And then Yoran bursts through the window to hide plastic beetle larvae in his drawer to freak him out. For that specific purpose. And she's like, what the fuck are you, like, you can't just do that. And it's like, I can, because I'm not Ronaldo's biggest fan. You know the way in fandom, right? You have people who genuinely love the thing and people who fucking hate the thing. And it's that argument, but with like some sort of
know his enemy to bring it down.
Exactly. It's that kind of argument that it's a like you say, it descends into initially like a Yu-Gi-Oh type duel. They do have life points. They are playing cards initially.
You fell from my trap card, the limited edition Ronaldo. We swing a dumbass teacher and do a stupid pose. And we're giving out a certain event, and we got 2 of them in the world.
And the thing of as well, at one point, like she makes him laugh so hard he actually gains life points. It's a weird, and Ronaldo just listening from inside the cupboard, going like, how does this even work? This is like this is more cringe for me being Ronaldo hearing this than it is for them playing who knows more about Ronaldo. And she's citing like his book. Your man's citing his book from memory. She's citing his blog post about a poem that he wrote. And he's like, not that poem.
Handa brings the journalist who went to school with a pair of them round.
To show embarrassing photos from school.
But that backfires.
Stuck in various things. Yeah.
But that backfires because she shows the photo she took of Ronaldo saving her. It was the first time they met, and he's like, "Oh, that's a very good photo, even though it's blurry. You've really captured the essence of Ronaldo in that."
Napoli's are stuck in the ball carrier. Napoli's fucking head stuck on a wall or some other thing. He's his head stuck in something or in something. Yeah.
Yeah, he was stuck in the ball basket in Sports Day, that kind of thing. And they're like, well, I guess this Ronaldo duel has come to a draw. And she's like, there can be no draws in Ronaldism. And he's like, well, we'll ask the man himself. And he opens the fucking cupboard. It's like, you fucking knew I was here the whole time.
It was just like, it's like threatened to be a heartfelt moment, but saying, well, let's just ask him. It's just like lads.
He jumps out the window.
Get out of my house.
He looks at her. She jumps out the window. His publicist comes in looking for the new manuscript. He jumps out the window. No. Dragged back fucking in.
It's got sent to the shadow realm.
Yeah, basically.
The final part, the vampire who taught Drackle how to be a vampire shows up and mesmerizes all the women in Yokohama.
If he can make your heart flutter, he can hypnotize you, basically, is the rules. And he mostly does this with poetry. But poetry, and specifically aimed poetry, to be fair.
Well, see, thinking, annoying words if you call him like, no, hey, you're a real sexy babe. How about me, cheeky baby? It's like, no, oh my goodness. But like, no, it wasn't now. I forget her name. She's the one who I can't like the Chinese kung fu get up from the guild.
Yeah.
And upon saying it tries to put the moves on her, upon saying, "Ugh, fuck off, of him, man. You're gross. You must be a pretty good cook." I think you do, some real magic in the kitchen, upon saying. Well, maybe.
Yeah, then he gets you.
Under his sway.
the kissing vampire thing.
Just eats his head and then
eats his
like,
head, but then he talks about how beautiful her ruby red lips are, and it's like from inside, and then he does his same like another one to my harem, and he's covered in like vampire drool. He's still pulling it off. Like even Dralk is like taking the piss out of him. He's like, oh, we got to get this motherfucker. Look at him on his stupid hover chair. That's just him putting telekinesis on his butt to hold him in the air. It's fucking stupid. He's a stupid vampire. He's a bad vampire. I'm a good vampire.
It's a classic look. Get and it's all the ass.
Only Dralk, because Dralk has went, this is my fucking town. This is my castle fucking town. And he's like, oh, is it? I'm gonna fucking take it over then. Basically, is his plan.
Yes, we see him even seducing the ostriches with teeth.
The female ones, I presume.
Yeah. Yes, because he says anything from a zygote to a ghost he will seduce as long as it's female.
Ew.
He's a big old creep. He's got a big old creepy mustache. He has seduced most of the female characters we've met, but not all of them.
No.
In this episode. So I don't know whether some of them will come and help them out next week.
No, the other guy bring back the sock lady. You got any good socks?
Yes.
Get out
of my face.
He's got the Queen of Vampires' sister, but not the Queen of Vampires.
That was who I was thinking. Yeah.
He obviously initially while he's seducing some random woman, he's already seduced the old ladies club because they're the easiest to seduce in this entire fucking show.
Yes.
Seemingly. Yeah.
Not gonna have to have his mum yet either. That might also be his downfall. But maybe they don't want to repeat that joke.
Yeah.
We will see. Anyway, it is a cliffhanger because it's a genuinely jerk vampire who showed up, as opposed to just the ones who've got weird kinks they want to foist on people.
I think it is a weird kink that he has, and he decided, it's like, I need a base of operations. Like, walks casually into the Hunters Guild, and they're like, should we kick his ass? It's like, no, he has like so many civilians hypnotized. We can't really do anything about it right now. And it's like, oh, this guy's a genuine creepy threat. That's a problem.
It's odd that he's more menacing than the child-killing vampire from the previous episode.
Yes.
Weird
that's how it shakes out, I suppose.
I guess it's the way it's framed. Like, that guy was a creep, but like a comedy creep, basically.
Yes. The serial killer vampire who's now reduced just to a figure of comedy.
Got better.
No. Entirely defanged, pun intended. Yeah.
As you said, Niall, it's a great episode from top to bottom. It's the variety of which this show can
everything.
Give you. Then we got Bungo Stray Dogs talking of the variety of a show can give you. Episode 49, Bungo Hound Dogs. Oh, I love this episode because it flipped the tones of and the characters on their head so much.
Would you
We're
believe
following around the bad guys, but the bad guys are also good guys? But like,
the bad guys are also complete fucking goobers in their own right. It's like,
because you could kind of tell from Tachihara, it's like he's slowly possibly realizing that maybe he was better off being undercover in the Port Mafia than having to deal with
He's been in too long, you know.
I got to be a serious character in the Port Mafia, which is filled with ridiculous characters, but I got to be a serious character in it. Here, I'm one of many goons. Oh no, this sucks.
I'm the only sensible one in my unit of 5 people.
My immediate superior is being brought. She's being held by the hand. She's crying because her torture victim died too soon. It's like, ah!
I thought he would hold out for longer. I thought I'd have a little more fun, but no.
My top superior was going to interrogate like Fukuzawa, head of the Armative Agency, by challenging him to a drinking contest. I don't know. Maybe I am the most mature one here, so I got given the dicey mission of infiltrating the Sky Casino.
Well, initially he turns him to a drinking contest. Then he kind of like pushes him and is like, "I'm gonna cut you with my sword." And you put your handcuff in the way of my sword. You do want to escape. I fucking knew it. You can't fool me. They're kind of playing weird friend mind games with each other because they do know each other well. That's the way it's established.
The other thing is, you're going to get a lot of content this episode because there ain't no opening. They just play the credits over the plot, and they play the end credits over the plot.
We got too much to cram in. Like you said, Niall, we've got news that the terrorists are hiding out on the Sky Casino, and I was like, "Fucking Sky Casino, what?" And then the Shield Hella Sky Casino, fucking like, and it was just like, "Yes, this is the place where." I was like, "This is wildly totally different, and I was fucking right to trust that fucking judgment.
This sounds like a bad airport fiction novel. That's what it was.
But I mean, like, don't get me wrong, Sky Casino, fucking class, but not really consistent with this post-war world they've been kind of making in this thing. Even with superpowers and everything, it's like, this seems wildly off kilter. But
I would love to read what was written out on the page that they got to ready for saying, and then it was a Sky Casino, and then there was the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs came back to life.
But it has, the rule is it has to make sense as narrative, so.
But then how does it make sense as a narrative when we have like people out there who with supernatural powers that bend the laws of space, time, and physics?
Yeah, so the basic thing is they go to the Sky Casino and inform its proprietor that is like, hey, you got terrorists hiding out your thing. There's this lady, we have her on your security camera footage, and she has a pocket dimension that she can bring the other terrorists in. So we're going to need to shut down your casino and find the terrorists. And he's like, no, get the fuck off my casino. It's sovereign soil because it's not on the soil, it's in the sky.
Yes, it reminded me
skies, international airspace.
It reminded me of the episode that was in the first series of Eagle Heart, which is all about sky crime. It's about how you can commit any crime you like in the sky because it's it's in international waters.
Victimless.
And this is Sigma, our new character, who we learn by the end of the episode is part of the Decay of Angels.
And also not a real character.
Yes, and also possibly not a villain either, just a guy with no memory who's been roped into being part of the Decay of Angels, because he's the guy who's got the power to swap a piece of information with you.
And he has to work so very, very hard to keep up appearances. You know, I only know the names of all the guests and their particular like needs and wants because I stay up all night memorizing the guest lists and their personal profiles. So I am so tired all the time.
Like, all the guys are kind of like, wow, he's so fucking good, because it's like, you know, there's an explosion. It's like, check room 4-3. That guy's got a heart condition, and it's like, go this way. Like, make sure he gets everything he needs. And it's like, wow, he's so on the ball. It's like, my life is hell that I'm on the ball. I really have to. I got nothing, so I really have to get this casino thing right. Because if I fuck this up, I'm fucked. Right, this is all I got. I only got casino.
Yeah. It's pretty good how, like, nobody really seems to, even though he is the villain, you have sympathy for him because, especially by once you've had Dostoevsky explain the situation, you're like, oh, this
double
chap
sympathy.
This chap's being manipulated for sure.
But also, even though we're following the hounds basically investigating his casino, there are villains. They're literally here to catch our heroes, basically. So,
but our heroes,
the thing is, though, they think they're looking at the behest of the state, and
they think they're doing the right thing. Yeah.
And also, but they're being manipulated by our heroes who've deliberately led them here and led them to the clues. So they'll discover the real terrorism and they'll realize that it's not the detective agency behind the terrorism after all. But by the end of the episode, you're like, oh, they're going to have...
She's kind of like, if we help them catch the real terrorists, then we'll look like the good guys. And I was like, yeah, they're still going to catch you for different terrorism, basically, is what's going to happen.
Yes, but...
I've seen the plot before where you spread the virus attached onto like the currencies of the nations, so it spreads hand to hand. It's a perfect transmission thing. Everyone thought like, let's put bombs in all the coins and then disseminate them amongst the populace, and then we'll set them off all at once, and it'll cause mass hysteria.
I was thinking this is a more old-fashioned plot because I was like, I was kind of like watching it. I was like checking my pockets, like I don't have a fucking single coin on my person, and it was just like, I tend to use like contactless pay these days. It's like that's not really as useful as it would have been.
Yes, all the chip and pins will explode.
No, they'd be creds.
Yes.
I remember they did this plot in Batman with the future, and like, he's like, the creds. Basically, you're finding your debit card is now a lethal explosive.
But your man, the Sigma, watching him go into the one specific room. I was like, I didn't want him to go into that one specific room. And he's like, the carpet's been cut here. What if I open it up? There's a safe. It's like, no, don't open the safe. That's where I'm hiding all my secret bomb money. And it's like, this money seems like it's hollow. I gotta explode the bomb money. It's like, I used my power to release the shrapnel and it only knocked me down. It's like, fucking
never mind the blast wave alone would have liquefied your brain, but I guess they're engineered to be at peak physical condition, so that's probably why.
They are superhumans. So he's like, all right, I guess I gotta send my drone filled with money, bomb money, into the casino, and it'll do a lot of damage to the casino, but it's my best fucking plan. That's what I gotta work with.
And that's where we learn what's her name?
the
little
precocious little
pipsqueak.
girl.
Yes, who's not well. She's either a full-grown woman who turns into a little girl, or a little girl who turns into a full-grown woman. Either way, her power seems to be become a giant muscular woman who can hold down drones and stop them. And
who can sumo wrestle drones?
Yes,
is the way she calls it. Yeah.
And then they use the magnetism to check the building. But she is injured, and then then they get attacked by the people who are attending the casino.
That was so good because he's like, your one's bleeding in the corridor while they've taken out a bunch of guards. And he's like, what's all this? People fighting the guards. And he's like, don't worry, folks, we're with the police. Here's my identification. He's like, oh, thank goodness. Stabs him. It's like, fucking yeah, we're going to get paid. And he sees it on the telly. He's like, everyone attack these guys. I will cancel your debts and give you money for every injury. And if you kill them, a bonus. So, like, everyone at the casino is trying to murder them. I was like, oh, this is a good
warrior shit in there,
yeah.
And your hands are tied because you're the law enforcement, so you can't kill them back.
And this is Sigma going against the advice that Dostoevsky gave him. Dostoevsky's advice was,
if the hunting hounds come after you, run. I just abandon the casino, get the fuck out of there.
Abandon the plan, get out of there. But yes, no, because I think it's because he's worked so hard, he doesn't want to abandon it.
I was wondering, was that Dostoevsky like doing reverse psychology on him? This will make him definitely stick around and try and kill these motherfuckers.
Well, the thing is, so like, he was a man who was nothing, and that's the most dangerous man at all, because the man was nothing, and you give him time to actually attain something. Whatever that is, he's going to clutch it tight to himself because that's all he has. Whatever that is, he's going to clutch tight to himself and defend it to the death.
So we get Dostoevsky explaining him having amnesia and giving him this casino to run, so he's hanging on to it for dear life. But also, Dazai also goes like, yeah, I looked into your casino. Yeah, it only existed 3 days ago, but it's existed 3 days ago for 20 years. That's a bit fucking odd, isn't it? He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, you wrote it onto that page. And then they went to the Sky Casino, which had been in business for 20 years on the page or something like that.
I might find like, little fun box out, little like, can you put like a sticky note on the side of someone and box out fun and get the history of this place, how it was established, and fucking like fucking financials on it, so all adds up. It's just like, oh, he's got really tiny like writing. It's just like getting onto this page.
I did appreciate that on the Sky Casino, like on the entrance at one of the airstrips, it just said casino, because they don't need to say Sky on it. You're already in the fucking sky, that's all established.
So some kind of land casino in the sky?
Like, I was wondering, like, yeah, like you said, how much details they have to put in, or does the idea of a casino that is in the sky, you're just like, so like a boat casino, but in the sky, and then because everyone's collective unconsciousness knows what a sky casino would look like, it looks like this. It's just like, oh yeah, there you go, perfect.
Have you seen the Fast and the Furious?
Fans, 4 big fans holding an entire casino in the sky. Yeah, I know I know the Sky Casino. The Sky Casino. Everyone knows the Sky Casino. It's a very odd plan that you can just bring something so ludicrous into existence.
But why would we do that? We do it all the time. That's what.
It's true.
All these terrorist types have been after.
I guess it's the idea that, like, that's how authors work.
Yeah.
Again, like, impossible ideas.
It's the difference between the H.G. Wells and the French motherfucker who would actually design blimps and shit.
Jules Verne.
Yeah, H.G. Wells just went, I just stuck a bunch of cannons on it because I thought it looked fucking cool. It's that school of authorship, yeah.
Yeah, great episode. I love the tone. I love the fact that on all sides you're kind of rooting for them all, even though one of them is supposedly the bad guy. Superb episode.
If you can make us root for your villains, and technically, like, everyone is villains to everyone else in this, so yes. Yeah, it works quite well.
Yeah, the guy who comes off worse is the guy who tries to be the greatest detective with the cafe owner and makes him cry, and then the other guy goes, "Can't stand you when you're like this. I'm going to swear that I will not. I will clear. Lucy will not stand charged of any of the crimes we're bringing her in, and we'll make sure
she's not going to go in as an accomplice. She's like basically been manipulated by them. I'm going to make sure they have a fair fucking trial. As my honor as a swordsman is like, oh yeah, I'll work with you then. Your man's like, I wanted to like torture him. I wanted to get him on the inconsistency of you only buy coffee twice a year, so obviously you keep it in another dimension where it never goes off.
Listen, man, bad cop is getting us nowhere. I think we're all uploading with the good cop, and I did that shoulder for him to cry on. All right, that's the way it works. That's how you break them.
I
Yeah,
will.
yeah.
I will commit suicide if this does not happen.
I did like the combination of their bad cop, good cop routine, where it's just like, I'm going to fucking make sure you
Yeah.
never make another cup of coffee again, motherfucker. And this is the best cup of coffee I've had. And the other guy's like, no, no, come on, don't be cool, man. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, that's because also they hate each other. But
They do. He does stab him in the foot partway through his torture
yes.
of your man. So,
And previously he had stood on his back while he was trying to do push-ups.
because it's like no training during the briefing. It's always time for push-ups. You know, I like how dumb and honorable that one guy is, but
Yeah,
he is also monstrous with his infinity sword.
that is true. Yes. And then also in the interview, they're trying to demand where your fella who blew himself up is. That's what
Doppel.
That was so good because, like, no, he's definitely still alive because he's in the opening credits. Not that there was one in this episode, but yeah, he's cool. We know he's. I know he's fine because I know if he was dead because I'm a cat.
No, he's not a cat. No, their dad, their
Sorry,
boss,
sorry.
Their trader was a cat. Yeah.
The trainer's the cat. I'm mixing up my lads again. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Giant Beasts of Arse, final episode 12, The Ring's
Totally.
Judgment.
The last episode, we're not going to get more of this. No, sorry.
It's definitely the end of the story about the ring and the red-eyed giant beasts. That story is finished. But
Yeah.
it's the point at which two characters you've never seen before, who've got better character designs than most of the characters you've seen in the previous 12 episodes, show up, that you start going,
They're from
maybe
the future.
Maybe they got more planned for this.
Also, that elf continues to be suspicious the entire fucking time.
It's very suspicious in like the last few moments of the show.
You look at you watch, it's like, you don't have time to be suspicious now. It's like, I do if I'm going to be the future villain. Yeah.
So yeah, essentially the reason there's so many red-eyed beasts is there's these giant red-eyed beasts that pump out other red-eyed beasts out of them.
It's one of the humanoid looking ones, and he's just walking along. There's a big one. They have a map display, and everyone, because they're from like a medieval time, are like, whoa, it's like you have the eyes of God. It's like, no, it's just a map that we can track all the enemies on and set up movements and shit. But there's a big one that's humanoid with no arms that's just spewing out snake boys. And they're like, okay, we have to take out that one because otherwise we have like infinity snakes to fight.
They take out a snake. The pair of them get knocked out, and then Facade tries to kill. Because Facade still thinks that he's very confused. He thinks that Jiro's part of Nizami's plan.
The laser thing, and it's like that's your man's. His guys could do that laser thing, so you're working for him. And it's like, no, it's a paladin thing. It's a separate thing.
Yeah, but his blow is blocked by the old man, and then Yumi wakes up, and there's Yumi the Spunky, the flower seller, has just wandered onto the battlefield from miles away.
I think she shows up initially in the underground elf village, and she's just like, "I'm here as well." It's like, the fuck are you doing here?
I think a love interest showing up again in Dragon's Dogma, and it's usually the blacksmiths.
Yes.
You visit the most. Yeah.
What are you doing here? Well, I had the greatest bond with you across the course of the game, so you know I know who shows up your true love.
But her showing up to the other Kumi is kind of like, hey, you guys, you need to get the fuck out of here. And just like, but you're like a civilian. You need to get the fuck out of here. It's like, no, I don't. Check this out. Ooh, fireball! I'm gonna shoot that dragon. And it's like, all right, I'll handle it from here. And they're like, okay. I mean, this works out really conveniently. And they're like, all right, thanks, Flower Says. She's like, all right, bye. And they go away, and she collapses to the ground, presumably dead. No, she isn't. She's at the end as well. And I'm just like, the fuck is going on with that Flower Seller?
Oh, she's a cleric, is what it is.
She is a cleric because that's why she can shoot beams and shit. But it's just like, where did you come from? Why are you here?
Meanwhile, Bacula he's got two new assistants who we've never seen before. One who's fighting the giant monsters, the other one who apparently has hunted down all the human chapeaux in the city.
I like the way that was just said very flippantly. It's like, I've already killed all the human chapeau. And it's like, I didn't even see one yet. You can't fucking do that.
There's more than one?
Yeah. Bacula is like reading a prophecy, and he's found some secret words that he didn't know were there before. They're doing some medical work from the people who recover from the battlefield. We see the elves have got like science fiction healing devices. Like they're out of Star Trek.
Yeah, like basically a thing, you're running along a wound to seal the wound, and your one's like, wow, this technology is really fucking good, and she's helping out with that, and she's being a real fucking hand. Like, unfortunately, your man, the Hasty, is just running back and forth, which I guess makes sense.
Yes.
He's being very ineffectual. Yeah, that works.
Hasty, you might say.
Yeah, exactly.
Facade gets a sword blade pushed through his chest, and he falls down a deep hole.
That's one of the best animations in it, though, because he's fighting the old guy, and it's like I managed to break one of your fucking sides, and it's like, oh, my sword's cracking though. So Facade like gets the sword between the leftover sides, cracks it, and it's like stabs the old man in the back of one of the sides. Old man grabs it. It's like, haha, I stabbed you in your magical crystal weak point, and then just pushes it slowly into his chest. And I was like, ugh. It was pretty badass. And it's like, oh man, I fall over and die now. And he's fine at the end as well.
Yes, and I think Fasad's probably fine because he just falls down a hole. We don't see the body hit the ground.
Yeah, he's fine. He'll
be fine.
Like he just jam another crystal in there on top of the dagger. It'll be grand. Yeah.
Tsurugi gives the ring to Malan and says, make sure Kubi gets this. And meanwhile, I'm going to do some cleric stuff. No, paladin stuff, because the little horned girl is her cleric.
So it's not a sexist thing where it has to be girls and guys. It's like, no, girls can be clerics as well. Oh, sorry, girls can be paladins as well. So far, girls have only been clerics, I think.
And yes, and she produces like a fuck-off size sword compared to what Jiro produces. It's like an insane
it makes his fucking
blade.
Infinity Monkey Staff look piddly by comparison.
Yes. And then eventually, Mia shows up as a full-grown woman with a cat barrette in her hair.
Well, we see all the cats like fusing into one. Yes. Sorry, all the chapeaus fusing into one thing, and then she's like, as Meryl points out, a hot lady has shown up.
That's at the end. Yeah. Hey, Jiro, Mia's turned into a beautiful woman.
What's going on? I guess we'll find out in the sequel, basically.
So it's basically give the ring to Kumi, then she the master has awoken. She's the master they were talking about, because the actual way you defeat these things is not that the cleric goes inside the paladin, it's that you put the paladin inside the cleric.
You have it the wrong way around. It's the same animation, and obviously it happens with Jiro, but Jiro's knackered after it. He's like, "What the fuck? Every part of me hurts."
You got to turn the USB around. You know, it was going in the wrong way.
Yeah, they were plugging him in the wrong way around. That's the problem.
Yeah, so she turns into like
negative.
Some sort of magical girl / giant robot cross and just defeats the red-eyed beasts. And then it's like, and then Mia's like, here they come. And then you had your victory, everyone cheers. And then Mia's like, here they come, let's get ready. And then a giant spaceship appears. We've now got like green blue eyes opening, and that's the end of the show. And
we also see the elf guy going like, yes, they're finally here.
Good.
Yeah.
So God showed up. God appears to be a sort of a
giant slab in the sky filled with eyes.
Yeah.
Just like in the Bible.
I guess so, yeah.
Or the angels, anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely like between the elf's like Star Trek technology and the look of this thing. The look of it gives it much more like this is what a spaceship would like if you were designing a spaceship to be functional rather than to make it look cool for a TV show.
No streamlined thing. It's like it flies in space. It's a giant block with technology beyond us. It just needs to be a big fucking brick. Also, stick a bunch of eyes in it. That'll help it see.
It's clash between science and religion.
We do check in on a lot of the other villages as well, which were kind of, for the most part, holding their own. But it's just like infinity snakes is a bit of a problem. But once they took out the big one, that made all the snakes die. So they're good. What's his name? The Pebble is good. Mr. Longarm is good. They survived. Oh, and we do get to see your man. What was his name? The Beast Man guy who was injured for the entire time, so we never got to see him do anything. He actually does get to do some stuff.
Oh, good. Well, you want that.
So I was like, yeah, we can go back to these guys if we get another series. I'm just saying, maybe if you want, that'd be fun, right?
I'm full of tinier men.
The reason why Melon identifies this beautiful woman who's shown out of nowhere as Mia is because she still uses a cat pun.
I mean, it does look like her. She's wearing the same clothes, but like for a bigger person, basically. Yeah.
Yes.
We must avert catastrophe.
Yes, it's like Master Jiro, something's wrong. We are turned into a hot lady somehow.
Star Wars 9.
Yeah.
See, like with the ending of Jojo, we get a lot of endings this week, or a combination of endings.
It's that time of year, yes.
Yeah, but the ending of Jojo is kind of like it's kind of bittersweet, and then it gives them like, we just went with the super happy ending, and you're kind of like, what's the implications of this? Like you figuring out like Poochie's like his age doesn't fucking line up, and that kind of shit, and you're kind of thinking about it. But this one is the big dumb ending goes like, and we could do a sequel, and I was just like, that's also fun in its own way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is giving it far too a highfalutin comparison, but it feels like. And it's probably better than the when because I was like when I thought about this comparison, I was like, actually, Giant Robot does not come out the best when you look at it as plot wise. Giant Robot has the really nice animation that makes you forget.
Gorgeous, of course.
But it's the thing of like, Kobe going, but that wasn't my real plan. My actual real plan is this series, this sequel you're never going to see.
Yeah, the fun thing with that was like, they jumped right in the middle part of the trilogy, and then what came out before that was going to be next, and then now you're all set up for the final showdown in the third part. Yeah, it's like never going to get anything besides this some very evocative like chapter titles.
Yes. It's like Buckaroo Banzai versus the World Crime League. It's along those lines of like. I think it's probably closer to that one because you've had a story. You've had a story with a start.
Yeah. I can still watch Buckaroo Banzai. I don't need that sequel, but it's nice to have it hanging there as if it could be done. It's the same with this. Like, God has shown up and he's mad at everyone. I'm like, all right, I'd like to see that, but I don't need to. I'm satisfied with what I have.
If Giant Robo wasn't such an amazing production, they would have not got away with what they get away with at the end.
The thing is, though, with Giant Robo is that you have to focus on. It's mostly about this dude getting revenge for his father. He's just utilizing these already existing elements who are already at war with each other, like against themselves to fulfill his plot. Because even like then, like when the whole Alberta was just like, this isn't what we do. It's what we like robbing banks and doing like fucking like general crime. Was like, we're gonna just like fun like destroy all energy sources and get revenge kind of thing. This isn't what we're about, man. We're about old style villainy. We're about fucking like twirling our mustaches and issuing ransom demands. That was what we were all supposed to be about, dude. And then he dies in the process of trying to avert that.
Yes, your boy Komei. Well, that's Giant Robo. That did not come out this week. But yeah, that was the thing I went to when I got to this.
In our hearts.
Because it is always in my heart, yes. Except perhaps for the second episode, because there's too much recap.
Yeah.
But that's it for this week. So a lot less things to watch next week. And I don't think there's too many things starting up in April.
We got Golden Kamuy coming back,
Yeah, but we'd have to watch the first 6 weeks of that though, because we've seen them already.
I forgot to repeat it. Yeah, jeez, that's for a while then, technically.
We're good on that front. So yeah, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week on what day is it? I've lost it now.
It'll be Wednesday.
Splendid. That's far too much time for me to watch these. Most of these things first end episodes have dropped today, I think. So
okay,
I could go ahead and watch them now. Righty ho! I'm going to hit this end stream button.